The Ace of Hearts. How to play your strongest card to get your ex back. Hello there. I'm Coach Abby. Thank you so much for joining me today on Love Advice TV. Love Advice TV is a channel that has been created uniquely for you to assist you in navigating through any relationship challenges. Today's lesson is about something I like to call your Ace of Hearts, your strongest card when it comes to love and reattraction. Now, I don't mean manipulation or tricks or putting on a show. No, your Ace of Card is the essence of who you are, that unique quality that made your ex fall in love with you in the first place. And it's combined with the growth that you've experienced since the breakup. So that is what I refer to as your Ace of Hearts, a little bit of your past and certainly a little bit of your present. When you've been able to work on yourself in such a way that you're able to radiate this amazing strength through your Ace of Hearts. So Ace, as we all know, becomes impossible for your ex to ignore. I mean, Ace is such an important card. It just represents the alpha. It represents the best. It's a winning number. It triggers memory and reignites attraction. And that's always the goal. The goal is always to re-attract your ex back. So how do we narrow it down to the Ace of Hearts? Think of the Ace of Hearts as your core value. Yes, your core value. For some, it's warmth and kindness, the way you make people feel and love. You know, you make them feel safe. You make them feel loved. You make them feel cared for. For others, it's confidence, ambition, the drive that inspires and excites. You know, and even for others, it's playfulness. It could be lightheartedness, that spark that makes life feel so fun to be around you. But here's the important truth. At the end of a relationship, whatever your ace may be, it often gets buried. Now, unresolved feelings often cover it up, but attraction is tied directly to that essence, and we need to play that essence, play that card once again. Rediscovering and strengthening it is how you reawaken desire. You may be asking yourself, why playing your strongest card is so powerful? I've narrowed it down to 3 reasons that I feel will help you to figure that out. It triggers emotional memory. Attraction isn't logical. We never think, is it the right thing to do or not? No, there's something about them that we just, we're attracted to. Your ex didn't fall in love with a checklist. They fell in love with how you made them feel. So the Ace of Hearts reactivates that feeling. The power of the contrast effect, per se. When you show up in your ace energy again, it creates contrast with the person they broke up with. Remember, the person they broke up with is not the person they initially met and wanted to be with and start a relationship with. No, the person they broke up with is a completely different person. That difference captures attention. It is unique to you when you demonstrate that your ace is something no one else can copy. This is what sets you apart from anyone else they might meet. When your ex experiences your ace again, once again, whether it's humor, whether it's your beauty, whether it's being, exciting, whether it's being complimentary, whether it's being fun to be around with, whatever your Ace of Hearts might be, even subtly, it bypasses the rational resistance and awakens the emotional imprint of what it felt to be in love with you. And if you're not sure what your ace is right now, which I suspect you might not be, because we figure if my ace were so relevant, why did they break up with me? And this is important to start, I think, to analyze what went wrong. Why did you shift from being an ace of heart to where we are right now? And I think it's easier when you take the free assessment questionnaire below. And, every strategy, every questionnaire, everything we offer you is to help you figure out what went wrong. And this questionnaire will help you reflect on your relationship history and help you identify the qualities that made you most magnetic at one time. And that's what we have to recapture. So, how do you identify your ace of hearts? One thing's for sure, it's not about guessing. It's about clarity. Here's how to find it. So I'd like to go back and reflect on the beginning. What did your ex notice most when you first met? What did they compliment you most about? They admired you. What did they value about you? I mean, we all know at the very beginning, it's like, I love to hang out with you, or, you make me feel so happy, or, you're so, there's no conflict. It feels so energetic to be with you. You're so whatever it might be. We need to remind ourselves what it is that attracted them. And it might have been physical. Did we gain a lot of weight after? Did we gain too little weight? Did we change our hair? Did we do something? Many times we take for granted, and we meet these people that look so amazing. And little by little, they stop taking care of themselves. So their ace of hearts is compromised. And it's important to see that. Your step number 2 is to look at patterns. What qualities have others? Now, this has nothing to do with your ex. What qualities do any of your friends, your coworkers, your partners consistently appreciate about you? Be honest with yourself. You are trying to identify where your strengths are. And finally, observe yourself in the flow. Your ace shows up when you're most alive, when you're most authentic, when what you do feels most natural, radiant, magnetic. We know when we walk into a room and we're in a good place, and we also know when we start shrinking. And when we start shrinking, we need to pause. We can't shrink. No, that just steals our light. As a journalist that I am, that I love to write things down, I always say, write down moments in the relationship where the connection felt effortless. That moment where both of you would be at a place and there was no need to even talk. The chemistry, that feeling of admiration for each other. What version of you was present during those moments? That's what we need to recapture. This is a version of you that holds the ace. So whether you were charming or in your feminine energy or in your masculine energy or humorous or what have you, we become comfortable in the relationship, and sometimes we don't feel the need to work on that. So we sort of let it go. And we need to recapture it, because our thing is about re-attracting our exes. We already attracted them once. It's not about getting them. It's re-attracting. So now comes the critical part. How do you actually play your ace of hearts? Interesting enough, I look at it first as authenticity. Now, your ace only works if it's real. Don't try to perform it. You need to live it. Now, with that said, sometimes we need to tweak the authentic you. The authentic you might not be that great anymore, because authenticity also evolves. And maybe the person that they met when you were initially going out was authentically charming and wonderful and funny. And your authentic you is no longer that. So Don't get stuck on this. I'm just being authentic. Tweak that authenticity. It might work in your favor. Another thing is consistency. Your ace isn't a one-time display. It must show up daily in your lifestyle, in your choices, in things that we do. It needs to be visible. It needs to seem natural through your social presence, your mutual circles, or subtle interactions. And lastly, patience. Like a real card game, timing matters. Playing your ace too soon before growth is obvious weakens its impact. Now, the goal isn't to show your ex your ace. No, it's to embody it so fully that they can't help but notice the change. We don't, so many times my client says, Abby, I've sent them a letter and I've told them I've changed doing this and I've changed doing that. And it's lovely and it's wonderful, but don't do that. If you have the opportunity to demonstrate it, it's so much more effective, because after a while they look at it and they say, how many times have they said that? It's so important. If you feel that, you keep sending all these messages to them and I'm no longer doing this and I'm going to a therapist and I have a coach and and telling them all about, where you are and your changes, to me, it just tells me that you're still searching for who you are, uh, uh, you know, and you want to, show it to them of who your potential, not exactly of who you are now. And it's important to know how to write these texts so that it conveys that. It conveys that you are already embodying it. It's not who you were. Because every time we talk about who we were, and we bring the past into the present. You don't really have to figure this out all by yourself. And I know it can feel very overwhelming and very complex. And how do I write this down? And how do I let them know? And how do I express myself? I'll be more than happy to help you with that process. You might consider working with me. In our private session, we'll uncover your unique ace of hearts. We can design a strategy for embodying it authentically, and with it, map out the timing for revealing it in a way that reignites attraction. So it's not about, once again, convincing them. It's about reattracting them. Think of it as discovering your most powerful card and learning how to play it with precision. So, when and if you're ready for a personalized direction, don't hesitate to book a session with me. It will be my pleasure to help you in this journey. And sometimes just one person that is, when we're out of the box, that's out of the box, that's not directly involved, can make all the difference on how we're able to get them back in alignment with who we are now, and with it, regain their trust, because that's so important. Most of us, when there's a breakup, there's fractured trust along the way. So really, how does all this translate into reattracting your ex? Here's the deeper truth. When you rediscover and embody your ace, your ex feels it even from a distance. In their memory, they feel the emotional pull of your original magnetism. So remember, it's not about creating this brand new make-believe person. Go back to your original magnetism. It worked once, it'll work again. We just sometimes get too comfy in our relationships. We take them for granted. In contrast, they see that you've grown, that you're not that same person they left behind. So subconsciously, they realize, wow, this is the version of them I fell in love with. Yet now they're even stronger. And that's when the shift happens. That's when curiosity, attraction, and desire begin to grow again. So remember, your ace of hearts is it's your strongest card. It's not about playing games. It's not. It's about rediscovering your core essence, strengthening it through growth, and living it so authentically that your ex cannot help but feel drawn back to you. Play your ace wisely, and it becomes the bridge that leads you back to your love. It's so, might sound complicated, but sometimes it's quite easy. We just need to see the journey back, be able to, build that roadmap and just follow it. And it might surprise you that you had the answers in all along on how to get back with your ex. So thank you once again for joining me today. And please don't forget to like and subscribe for more tips on personal growth, on mending broken relationships, and everything and anything in between. Until next time, I'm Coach Abby.